The woke Olympics are tanking in the ratings. Are you watching? Efforts to recall Gavin Newsom are gaining steam. Plus, Mitt Romney and other weak Republicans keep pushing the left-wing infrastructure bill. All that and more. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour.
And God bless the United States of America.
All right, friends, welcome to the show. Happy Wednesday. I hope you're having a great week. If you're new to the show, thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to start with the woke Olympics because the statements and the gestures and the comments are starting to have an effect. And after all, that's what these woke athletes want, right? For their social and political statements to have an effect? Well, they are, but not in a good way. Imagine that. American people actually want to just watch sports. They want to keep the politics and social justice statements and all these protests out of it. They just want to watch sports. But that's not the country we live in today. The U.S. Olympic Committee, the national teams, they seem to be more concerned about catering to these elitist, entitled athletes and appeasing the radical left. That's what they're doing by allowing these protests to occur. And people are tuning out. The ratings are in. They are terrible. People are not interested in this. And here's the story. For most nights at the Tokyo Olympics, NBC's primetime coverage is drawing about half the audience that the Games had in Rio de Janeiro 5 years ago. The numbers are sobering. Sunday's NBC audience of 13 million was down 51% from the 26.7 million who watched the corresponding night in Rio. Saturday night was down 57%. Last Wednesday, down 53%. And Tuesday, down 58%, the Nielsen company said. NBC's best night last week, when it reached 16.2 million on Thursday, was still down 43% from Rio, Nielsen said. Wow, it's absolutely dismal. And of course, NBC has an excuse for this. They know the reason, and it seems to have nothing to do with the wokeness of the Olympics or how sports are being taken over by the radical left. We've had some bad luck, NBC Universal Chief Executive Jeff Shell said last week. There was a drumbeat of negativity, and that has resulted in linear ratings being probably less than we expected. COVID restrictions that largely left empty arenas, the time difference with Japan, and a lack of star power has played a part. Adding cable networks and streaming, and NBC Universal's position improves, but not by much. The marked change in how people experience television in the past 5 years plays a part in the ratings decline. NBC's primetime had, on average, 35% less viewers this season than it had in 2015-16, Nielsen said. Bad luck. That's what this NBC executive attributes the low ratings to. Bad luck. Now, there's no doubt there's been changes in viewer habits, but people are sick and tired of the national anthem kneeling, the podium protest, all of these comments that just bash America and put the focus on the athletes and not the country. Here are some comments from James Golden. You may know him as Bo Snerdley from the Rush Limbaugh Show. Check out what he has to say.
The competition isn't about being the very best that you can be on the athletic field. The competition seems to be about being the best you can for the media. Being the best you can so that you can have your face on the media proving how woke you are. Do you remember when the Olympics were fun? When athletes used to show up, we used to marvel at their performances, marvel at their individual achievement. Today, the news stories aren't about their achievements. The news stories are about everything but their achievements.
Great comments. The media are a bunch of left-wingers, and these woke athletes know that if they can go to the media with their social justice comments or bashing America, they will get exposure. They will get their name out there. They'll get promoted. They don't seem to care that the American people are sick of it. They don't care about it. They don't want to listen to it. We want to watch the Olympics for sport, but you get the combination of these left-wing athletes plus a left-wing media willing to promote them and not their achievements, and you get the perfect storm, and that's why people are tuning out. Now, former Olympic athlete Lolo Jones, she had some comments as well about the low ratings and the woke athletes.
I mean, I don't know the percentage of people that would be tuning out because of those protests, but I will say that there has to be a percentage of people that are doing that. I had so many people coming up to me after the Gwen Berry protest and saying, I'm sorry, I cannot watch the Olympics after that. And so it's just not that. It's just, you know, I think sometimes people just want to tune in to watch sports to just watch sports, and they're not there for the political side of it.
Amen to that. People just want to watch sports. So the question for today is, are you watching? Are you watching the Olympics? And if not, why not? Is it the time zone? Do you have other activities? Or are you just plain sick and tired of radical left athletes and these woke Olympics jamming politics down our throats? Let me know in the comments. All right, next let's talk about California Governor Gavin Newsom. But first, if you're new to the show or haven't subscribed yet, regardless of platform, just search out my name, hit that subscribe button, make sure notifications are turned on. That way you can follow the show and help us grow. Okay, so let's talk about California Governor Gavin Newsom, because the recall election is just a little over a month away. Polls are tightening and the direction is moving away from Governor Newsom. And here's the story. A new Emerson College poll shows a statistical tie between likely voters who favor removing Governor Gavin Newsom, 46%, in the September 14 recall, and those who favor retaining him, 48%. The poll, conducted July 30th to August 1st, has a margin of error of 3%. Moreover, undecided voters appear to be breaking against the incumbent. In July, 43% favored recalling Newsom, with 48% against it, and 6% of likely voters undecided. Undecided voters have since fallen 3%. Very interesting polling. Almost identical numbers to last month, with one exception. The undecided voters went from 6% to 3%, and all of that 3% moved toward recalling him. Another interesting thing is from this poll and the last poll is they never had a majority. There was never a majority of people, 50% or above, who wanted to keep Governor Newsom. That is a big deal as far as building momentum against the governor. People are sick and tired. They either want him gone or they're undecided. That's not good. And here's more. Education appears to impact voter attitudes toward the recall, as respondents without a college degree were more in favor of the recall, 54% recall, 39% keep, than those with a college degree, 36% recall, 59% keep. Hispanics are the only racial group in favor of the recall, 54% recall, 41% keep, while white respondents were split, 48% recall, 49% keep. Majorities of black respondents, 41% recall, 57% keep, and Asian respondents, 30% recall, 49% keep, were in favor of keeping Newsom as governor. So what could be a distressing sign for both Governor Newsom and the Democrats in general is that Hispanic polling number. They are not this block that the Democrats can just count on. Democrat population represents 40% of the population both here in Texas and in California. And we've seen the trends. We've seen elections in the border in Texas going against the Democrats. Now they're turning against Gavin Newsom. That is a powerful block, and it sends a message that the majority of Hispanics want Newsom gone. As far as contenders, last month, as I reported on the previous show, Larry Elder was tracking as the leader with 16%. That has gone up to 23% now. So we'll keep an eye on it, and we'll see how this recall election goes. All right, so next let's talk about the infrastructure bill that is working its way through the Senate, being pushed by left-wing liberal Republicans like Mitt Romney. Check out this clip from Romney from Newsmax.
Neither side got everything we wanted. There are a bunch of things in this bill I don't like, I'd take out. There are things in this bill I know my Democrat friends don't like and would take out. But the nature of getting work done in Washington is to be able to come up with something that has enough good for both that we actually get it done.
No, that's not how you do things. Despite what your Democrat friends want you to do, you need to stick up for conservative principles, and this infrastructure bill should be voted down. Here are some comments from former House Speaker Newt Gingrich talking about these Republicans like Mitt Romney and Susan Collins who helped put this bill together.
They have no idea what's in the bill, and they have no veto over what's in the bill. And so they're going to get a bill which is dramatically worse than anything they agreed to. They're going to have no ability to change it, and it's going to be a disaster. And there's a wing of the Republican Party, which historically it's the wing that Reagan opposed. Frankly, it's the wing we opposed when I was Speaker of the House. And it's a wing which says that you've always got to find a way to be responsible. And being responsible means selling out to the left.
Absolutely right. These so-called Republicans think that progress means getting with the Democrats and pushing a left-wing bill. That is not progress, and the losers end up being the American people. Now check out these comments from this cool guy on Newsmax.
The Republicans should not go along with this, that they should reject it. If you add up the amounts for bridges and roads, railway, broadband, that comes out to be about $241 billion out of the 1.2 that Heather quoted. So there's a lot of stuff out there that has nothing to do with infrastructure. It encompasses the majority of the bill. We need to focus. If we truly want to repair roads and bridges, those are actually the privy of the federal government, then let's do that. But this is just an invitation to get Republicans on board so that they can pass the $3.5 trillion spending later.
Smart dude, right? No, seriously, I just wanted to share that clip because it sums up just one of the reasons this bill should be voted down. It's loaded with pork, it's terrible, and it is a gateway to an even larger bill, $3.5 trillion in left-wing projects that the Senate can vote on with a simple majority. The Republicans cannot filibuster that bill. That comes if this infrastructure bill gets passed. Now, here are some more comments from Newt Gingrich.
And when they get together for their luncheon, they ought to really look at this. This is something they should bail on. It was a mistake. It will be dramatically worse than they think. And the 2,700 pages will be followed by 50,000 pages of regulations. And there's more than enough reason for those 17 senators to decide that they got suckered and that the time has come to kill it, not to move it forward.
So Gingrich is right, and Republicans need to vote no. Currently, 17 have expressed support for this disastrous bill. If 10 of them go along with the vote to bust the filibuster, then it can pass. We need to call our Republican senators and tell them to vote no on this bill, to stick with conservative principles and vote this down. Otherwise, there is a disaster bill, even worse, ready to go. Okay, next, let's talk about the Wuhan lab leak theory and why. Because we can. Because big tech masters of the universe have decried that now we can talk about it. So I'm going to, because the media are not saying a word about it. And here's the story. The mainstream media was silent on alarming findings from the House Foreign Affairs Committee Republicans' probe into the possible origins of COVID-19, despite one lawmaker calling it the greatest cover-up in human history. The bombshell findings made the most detailed case yet that the coronavirus pandemic resulted from a leak from a Wuhan virology lab. But CNN, MSNBC, ABC News, NBC News, and CBS News all failed to cover the report. It's just disgraceful. All of those networks combined provided a grand total of 0 minutes of coverage. 0 minutes. And why? Why wouldn't the media be interested in covering the biggest story out there? Well, political columnist Joe Concha, he has a few ideas.
Well, Steve, a few reasons. For one, the media doesn't cover it because it serves as a reminder that when they rush to judgment, because there's a Republican like Senator Tom Cotton, who said that this can come from a lab, that being COVID, or when President Trump echoed the same thing, they were portrayed as reckless conspiracy theorists.
That's for sure. There is no doubt that one of the reasons the media were against this story is because Republicans, and especially President Trump, were talking about it. They were suggesting this. They had ideas. They had evidence even back over a year ago, yet the media did no investigations whatsoever and yet went against this story, saying it was a conspiracy theory. And here's some examples.
Sure, and you look at some of the headlines from some of the mainstream outlets from last year. CNN, March of last year, their headline was "Lab Leak COVID-19 Theory is like something out of a comic book," their virologist says. Forbes, May of 2021, no science clearly shows that COVID-19 wasn't leaked from a lab. And Reuters of 2020 said, China lab says conspiracy theories hurting efforts to curb virus.
Not only those headlines, but a host of others designed to make people look stupid or crazy or like conspiracy theorists just for talking about the Wuhan lab leak theory. And recall, just a couple months ago, you couldn't even talk about it. Big tech said no, you'd be blocked or banned or throttled just for speaking out. Well, now we know that the story is not just credible, but actually likely. And is it any wonder people don't trust the media? As Joe Concha points out in his interview, you have public trust in entities like the military and small businesses. At the bottom of that list, Congress, broadcast media, and the newspapers. Is it any doubt? Folks, that's our show for today, but don't forget, if you're new to the show or haven't subscribed yet, regardless of platform, just search out my name, hit that subscribe button, make sure notifications are turned on. That way you can follow the show and help us grow. All right, thanks again for tuning in. Our next show is going to be Friday at the same time. Until then, I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour. Okay, friends, thanks so much for watching. And before you go, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you'll be notified. And here's a special video just for you so you can watch even more of the 13-minute news hour. And don't forget to check out GOPUSA.com for the best in conservative news and commentary. We'll see you next time.